In our 5D relationships, we get to build a network of empowered people that love to talk and love to love from the heart. So, a 5D person is a lovely Christ consciousness, oneness consciousness, your thoughts, your emotions, not irrefutable facts, but part of your journey. And you get to own that inner child adult. I do personal development, self help. So, you get to be a grown up. That means your body can contain those emotions, and the basic emotions, you know how you feel about them. Okay, so that's very important. It's also very important that you don't think that you have a right to shame people. I'm going to start with that. I'm attachment trauma informed. I'm a 5D mystic in the enlightenment soul age group, and I'm a functional adult. I'm a divine feminine with my own divine masculine. Then I have my masculine, my feminine, but I'm also a feminine energy who has a relationship with this lovely sphere. And what I can tell you is when I hear Sadhguru, I know what he's talking about. When I hear Dr. Daniel Siegel, also, it's called integration of the brain. My default mode network doesn't scan self and other. I'm not in danger if you have no weapon. My body's in my social engagement system. Thank you, Stephen Porges. Okay, so 5D relationships are here with Pacha. That's the person we use as an example because he sticks with Cusco even after Cusco basically does a 360 on him. Essentially, he's almost going to have him killed, and yada, yada, yada. So, Cusco is the perfect example of an adaptive child, maladaptive child, mantles of mental health, mantles of yoga, mantles of spirituality. They're not true spirituality because anyone who's true spirituality know that it is a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. And the self is an identity constructed with your emotions and thoughts since you began life, which is why there are things called determined. That we don't have to say you don't have free will, but we can say you can have conscious choice. So the choice of being aware of your behavior and how Janina Fisher poses, not to be pathologized, to be understood. And any person who is attachment trauma therapist, researcher, academic, updated will know how to tell you. Personality disorders, healable, Dr. Daniel Fox. Childhood trauma, healable, Patrick Tiahan, therapist. Couples can get their unfinished business finished, Terry Real. Okay, so there's a buttload of people. They're great. I get to support those who want to be their self and then to build these 5D relationships where we support all who are getting out of the human suffering love narrative and out of a shame cycle. The inner critic, they're not doing split thinking, black and white. Nope. They're not doing outer critic, let me project my low self esteem, indirect communication, passive aggressive manners. No boundaries whatsoever. Whether you're love desperate or not, we are not going to have a crutch. And what else is there? Yeah, no control, but don't worry. Pachas know how to handle Cuscos. That's the whole point of what I don't have trauma charges lingering. I have no low self esteem. It's called an empowered self. And that's because I'm a member of the human herd and I know that I love myself first and you don't have a right to treat me in any way. But I won't be using my emotions and thoughts as irrefutable facts. No, I'm going to talk to you in your face. And if you don't know how to talk to me, I'm not going to read your mind. In fact, thank you, Dr. Daniel Fox. All of those mantles of mystics, they're on Elsa's journey. Show yourself, I'm dying to meet you. They don't meet their 3-year-old and they think they're Claire's. Makes it so that they can read active minds and they don't know about not only the overgeneralized brain that is consistently the child who's trying to make sure they're safe in their environment and that the nightmares and all those fantasies and not very great moments are from their own. Okay, so projection is what that is all called, but they're going to be convinced as if these things are real until they're aware of their self and others. Okay, so people who are not doing the let me grow up and to become a human, okay, we work with the ones and are just with people that are aware of themselves. And all people are part of our herd, but right now this is for us growing a network of empowered people at IHP that support people to get to be their self and to know they have a 0-1-year-old. And so when you have somebody who is healing from drug addiction, they need the people who have healthy self-worth and are empowered and that don't stigmatize them. If we have somebody with personality disorders, that they don't get stigmatized. They will know why, because I'm a nervous system and so are you. They don't need only the therapist. They need to build healthy relationships of people who authentically and genuinely care, which you will not be able to do if you say, I'm immune to the narcissist. I got rid of some energy vampire today. You know what? I can't tolerate you. Today you're getting on my nerves. I'm going to project something. My emotional trigger just made me do that. We have a lot of prancing around out there. Mean girls, hangover, anyone? The ones who go and say, hey, let me go and fuck and get drugged up and get drinking up and all of that, and I'm cool. Really? Pattern, anyone? Okay, so when you share with people that all people are people and they're trying to make a person who has a pattern out to be an evil, Knievel, medieval, yes. One, there's Michael Stone scale, and he's a forensic criminologist. Two, you're using rumination right now and your emotion of anger and upset of what you didn't see happen to make it an irrefutable fact and to cast a stone on another human being. So that's not the 5D relationships. We talk with love and straightforward. And we don't stop to talk until we're done as functional adults. We don't get overly emotional. We know how to maintain. You know why? Because an authentic person who's an empowered 1 year old has no trauma charges. Your nervous system is not going to trigger mine because I'm a guitar string that vibes my own. And then I'm like, oh shit, that's yours. Hey, is it good? Are you good? Hey, what's happening? Okay, so with that being said, let me give us some stories. One, people who are needing support from getting better from addiction, there are those who put their best foot forward. They need healthy self-worth people who are not addicts at all and who will say, I'm going to call you out on it. Or who say, I'm here, and if I notice anything, I want to share something. Okay, so I had the honor to have this experience. I frequent a place where it's kind of like Cheers. Everyone's a friend. I need to look up the song because it keeps wanting to come up. Where everybody knows everybody, right? Something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna look it up while we're chit chatting here. But I have plans for the song. Cheers for some things. Okay, here we go. Let's see if they give me the lyrics. Making your world, take a break, worries. Oh yeah, take a break from your worries. Okay, where you can see troubles. Ah, this where everybody knows your name. I found it. Okay, you want to be where everybody knows your name. Well, depends, right? Some people they don't want their name to be known because they're not doing what they could be doing. Okay, so thank you for the patience. So everybody, where everybody knows your name, it's like that. It's like that. Everybody knows everybody's name. Okay, and the ones that we don't want to hang out with, they even know that we don't want to hang out with them, and we know each other's names. I forget those names, but then I get reminded of those names. Okay, so I had the honor to have a lovely conversation with a person who is committed to healing from all of that which they come from, between drugs and alcohol. So they go to AA, they go to also Narcotics Anonymous, I'm assuming, therapists, all of it. But last week it was about where I saw, like with other friends, that they were not doing really great. They went over their window of. And so I said, you know what? I already had talked with one of my friends, big man, baby child. I said, since you were talking to him about it, how about you give him a hand? Because I understand as a woman, they tell me that I'm not a man and that I can't make a difference. And you have these gender stereotypes, so I've even gotten sources that I can share with people who have men who don't do the neutral gender thing, meaning that they think of themselves in this way. So there's a website, in fact, if any of you are interested, let me know, specifically for men and this whole gender way of them behaving or needing to talk. I don't believe that all men are that, so I'm gonna share that. Long story short, though, and luckily here, see, there's things about the Italians. They're more okay with their emotions than the Americans. So the men don't have as big of a deal being with their emotions versus what I've seen. And it's not me wanting to cast generalizations, even though it's what I've witnessed. So from my subjective experience, the Italians are good with their emotions and they express them all because there's no suppression, there's no awkwardness, and your inner child gets to continue. In fact, Gabor Mate, he shares what is important to know. Every child needs three things in order for them to be able and be a person who can function in the absence of torture, being lovingly accepted, not having to work for love, and expressing all basic emotions. There are children that get shamed when they're angry. They get shamed when they're crying. They get yelled at. They get fear mongered. And these adults who do that think that this means nothing. In fact, I can never forget when Dr. Daniel Siegel was introducing, I forget at what point in his journey, but he wanted to make a difference, noticing that in his entire network of people that were learning, they didn't care about the mind or something like that. I forget how he explains his story, but basically, he said there were books that wrote, as long as you don't hit your kid with a frying pan, it's all good. Okay, so we come from an ignorant on attachment and trauma, no machines, nobody seeing, then they began to learn. Okay, so FYI, just side note, maybe you already know all this stuff. Long story short, you find out that people who are getting over things, they need a support system. They need the people that can keep them, one, clean, that can have faith and trust in them. And if they don't have that, they're not going to be as motivated. So I took the opportunity, seeing this person, to chit chat. And I just, again, I don't hide my words. I just say it. I said, I'm wondering how you're doing, because I saw you last week. You were little. I said, you told me you're getting clean and you've been on that journey. So I was wondering how you're doing, one, and if you're open, since I do personal development self-help, to exercises. I have some things that I can give you to work with that mindset of yours. And we had a nice chit chat, and they were open and are open to all of it. And they were very appreciative. And I found out they have a good therapist that cries with them. So that's a good thing, because crying means that the person's resonating. Because when you don't have emotion for a person, and there are some, the good therapists, if they know, and if they're good, they will, that they have judgment, they're going to say, I'm not the therapist for you. I won't be able to have space. Because as long as you're judging a person, you have casted a stone, and your nervous system is going to be telling that person that. So it's important for the person to feel felt, that inner child. Now, the person won't appreciate some of the things that a therapist will tell them, but if they're serious about getting healed, they will continue. That's the part about the truth. People close their ears to that direct truth when they don't want to work with that because it's too overwhelming. And that's a side note. So I love that here we get to be ourselves. Everybody knows our name, not in the way of the evil, ignorant town folk thought thinking people, which I still see all over YouTube. I see all over a lot of places. The people that I have met in my courses that want to help, they talk like I'm talking to you right now. And they don't shout at anyone, and they don't talk about narcissists or sociopaths or psychopaths in any way whatsoever with stigma, not even a little bit. Because if they do, then they haven't learned the in-depth journey of a child, of a 0-1-year-old, and they haven't learned about Dr. Daniel Fox or any of the other beautiful human beings, again, Dr. Daniel Siegel, that explained Bessel van der Kolk, how you work. So that people want to cast, that's their shame journey. So we allow those who stay within the human suffering love narrative, because that's where I'm going to allocate anyone who thinks that shaming someone is a good idea versus understanding what I just explained, because it's a dynamic that takes place with every person's body and another. Right now, even right now, it can be happening. The difference is, if you know your emotions are not irrefutable facts nor your thoughts, then you're an open mind who understands, because you're listening. Doesn't matter if you like or don't like. I have a great professor from one of my years in college, bachelor's. This was in New Jersey. And he gave me books. I'm not going to get specific because I don't want it to become, I'm a political science major. He gave us books from the opposing side. And he said, before we began the class, he said, I am of this subjective experience, of this side, this. Because of that, I've gotten you all books from the complete opposite perspective. You need to hear both. This is what it is. And this is why when I talk about this stuff, my eyes go and I'm turning away and I'm getting our focus back to personal development and self-help. So supporting people who are healing from addiction is very important for them to have healthy self-worth people who don't look down at them. They look straight at them. They say, wow, you're doing a great job. I can help. You want help? And if people get sloppy, no, you don't get sloppy. So here's the thing about a direct communicator. Okay, you gave me information. I'm going to hold you to it. If you don't do it, I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to spell it out to you a certain amount of times. It's not a wiggle room dance here. The minute that I see that you're not making your best foot forward, I will know, because you're going to not just wiggle in and out. You're going to completely get sloppy, which means you're not doing anything, and you're going to be in that maladaptive pattern. So it's very clear, but it's clear when people have not been given the network or the opportunity, because of what surrounds them, which is the part of where we come in and this lovely channel and all of being yourself. Our lovely Sadhguru with his quote, as he shared, if you want to do anything for human suffering, I read it to you all the other day, or a couple, I like quotes, so every now and then I repeat them, and you might not have tuned into that one, so I will read it. If you are keen on doing something about human suffering, attend to yourself first and also to people around you. That is the best way to start. So, restorative embodiment is what you see, integrated brain is what you see, and that's because of me being able to be objective. My 3-year-old is not the ruler of anything, but she's the ruler of this, but she's the ruler that can speak with others, okay? And the other story, so when somebody wants to get angry to justify and to keep a battlefield going, that is not accepting that which you don't like. And accepting that which you don't like is part of the ascension journey. For any of you who know the whole spirituality journey, yes, yes. Claiming your whole spirituality is you becoming a human being that can be a restorative embodiment. Your humanity overflows, divinity descends. It's you being what any person who has compassion, and it's not a green light. Again, you have heard of stories. If I don't vibe, I'm going to, with all the best decency I can, let you know I don't vibe, not hanging out with you. Professionally, don't like your services, don't want to criticize who you are and how you are working. I totally understand. It's challenging, and you don't do it in a way that's angry. Now, it took me some time to get to being comfortable. I don't get angry. I get more like nervous, like, oh shit, how do I do it? So for me, my dominant emotion is fear. And that makes sense for the size that I am, that I'll like detract, you know. Others might get angry. So you'll know which one of those emotions you're softening as you get to become more empowered. And you'll notice because you get to engage with people as an empowered person. Okay, so the tone says it all. And when people don't like to hear where we're trying to keep them in the middle, it's because they want to go and share, but venting isn't you processing. So processing means that you witness the emotion, you witness your inner child, you witness whatever's come up for you, the sensations, images, affects, meanings, and the behavior. Of course, in this case, we don't have a behavior, we have a exchange and a story. I don't like what happened. Okay, we present what we don't like. We're having a moment to process, witness, and then to bring it full closure. So the narrative gets integrated, and this is where there's 9 domains of integration that lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel has taught me with interpersonal neurobiology and the wheel of awareness. And the narrative is where if you see and sense something come up, which you will when there's stuff still in it, beneath the surface. Like I had recently something come up. I was like, that's amazing. So we're going to have a channeled guidance message after this one. But the point is, you say, okay, that motion makes sense. Image makes sense. I know what happened. I can bring it and maintain equanimity. That is your practice of the mental, emotional, and then integrating the physical plane. And you being able to integrate all of you and to vibe at this enlightenment frequency. You don't have laundry here. Only if you still have a window of tolerance for emotions, and it still feels like laundry once you're done and you're expanding and you're saying, I welcome emotions. They're not facts, but I have a 0-1-year-old. That's number 2. You work with that longing and fear of inadequacy, and that's why we can stand and set an example for the young teens, knowing the self is an identity. It's a construct of our society, our family, but we can break away from it by choosing how to see ourselves and then have a herd that we feel felt, which is where we get accepted, loved. We don't work for it, and we get to express all of our emotions with a ventral vagal tone, functional adult love language. That's what we get to do here. So we consistently will respect one another because you're human and I'm a human. Independently from your past, I don't come at you with the shame, blame, fault, revenge, low self-esteem, 0-1-year-old, brokenhearted, 3-year-old brokenhearted. That is a person who has not yet gotten out of their 16-year-old. That's how I'm going to explain it. And you can see it. They have mantles. And the way that they're expressing it shows that they have a mantle. I get passionate. I know I do. With my own emotions and my own things that I believe in. And that's why I always try to make sure to end and or bring you to be aware. I'm in favor of all people being their authentic, true self, which is your inner child. And so your inner child adult is you being you. And that doesn't mean you're going to go out and tell somebody, it's because you triggered me that I'm treating you like a piece of shit. No, no. Nah, not at all. Not at all. Okay, it's not gonna be. I have to acquiesce to your very request. No, and that's because we still have people, human suffering love narrative. They're not gonna learn boundaries. They're gonna learn how to do what I just showed with the coming to you with ridiculous conversations. Anyways, that's a side note. Okay, so we're gonna go like, share, subscribe, ask your questions, and I look forward to you being back. If you want Ask Maria, that's paid subscription-based model content. We'll have it available on YouTube when we get to our 1K. The main modules for the inner growth mindset are on the website inspiringhumanpotential.com. We have a bunch of inner growth topics and exercises on the blog. That's luna12780.com, although I might be doing something with that stuff. And on Udemy, we have the beginner's journey of inner growth mindset. If you can't find it, let me know because it might be hidden. And I think that's all. It's all, folks. You can follow me anywhere you want, but YouTube is pretty good because it's my favorite, one of my favorite. I like TikTok, but I'm not sure I'll be able to use TikTok. So it is. I do both, but follow YouTube. It's great, and then you find me anywhere. Have a great one.